Professor Zixnareth stood before the holographic display, his tentacles twitching with a mixture of excitement and apprehension. The lecture hall of the Galactic Academy was filled to capacity, a sea of diverse alien faces staring back at him. Today marked the beginning of the most controversial course in the Academy's curriculum, Human Combat Tactics and Psychology 101. Greetings, aspiring galactic leaders. Zixnareth's voice resonated through the hall, his bioluminescent skin pulsing with each word. You are about to embark on a journey that will challenge everything you think you know about warfare, strategy, and the very nature of sentient beings. A ripple of murmurs swept through the audience. Humans were a relatively new addition to the galactic community, and their reputation preceded them. Stories of their tenacity, unpredictability, and sheer determination in the face of overwhelming odds had spread like wildfire across the cosmos. Before we delve into the intricacies of human combat, Zixnareth continued, I must warn you. What you learn in this course may disturb you. It may even frighten you. But it is essential knowledge for anyone who wishes to understand the new balance of power in our galaxy. The professor's words hung in the air, heavy with implication. The students shifted uneasily in their seats, some with expressions of skepticism, others with barely concealed fear. Zixnareth activated the holographic display, and a three-dimensional image of Earth appeared, slowly rotating in the center of the room. Humans evolved on this planet, a world of extreme diversity and constant change. Their history is marked by endless conflicts, technological revolutions, and a drive to explore and conquer that seems hardwired into their very DNA. The image zoomed in, showing various terrains and climates across Earth's surface. Unlike many of us, humans adapted to survive in almost every environment on their homeworld. This adaptability extends to their approach to combat. With a gesture, Zixnareth brought up a series of historical battle scenes from human history. Observe their tactics throughout the ages, from ancient warfare with primitive weapons to the nuclear age and beyond. Humans have consistently demonstrated an ability to innovate and adapt their combat strategies at a pace that defies conventional galactic wisdom. The students watched in fascination as the holographic display showed human armies clashing across various landscapes and time periods. The brutality and intensity of the conflicts were unlike anything most of the alien students had ever witnessed. But it's not just their physical combat prowess that sets humans apart, Zixnareth explained. It's their psychological approach to warfare that truly distinguishes them. The professor pulled up a new set of images, this time showing human faces contorted with determination, fear, and triumph. Humans possess an emotional range that many species in our galaxy struggle to comprehend. They can experience paralyzing fear and yet push through it with sheer willpower. They can be driven by hatred, inspired by love, or motivated by abstract concepts like honor and duty. A Vixilian student in the front row raised a tentacle. Professor, how can a species that seems so primitive in their emotions be effective in modern galactic warfare? Zixnareth's skin flashed with approval at the question. An excellent point. You see, it's precisely this emotional volatility that makes humans so unpredictable and dangerous. They are capable of making decisions that defy logic, often to their advantage. The holographic display shifted to show footage from the first contact between humans and the galactic community. The students watched as human diplomats and soldiers interacted with various alien species, their body language and expressions a mystery to many of the observing students. Note their ability to conceal their true intentions, Zixnareth pointed out. Humans have elevated deception to an art form. In combat, this translates to strategies that often seem irrational or even suicidal to outside observers, only to result in stunning victories. The professor paused, letting the gravity of his words sink in. Throughout this course, we will study infamous human battles, analyze their tactical decisions, and attempt to understand the psychological factors that drive their combat doctrine. A Xanthari student in the back, its crystalline form shimmering with agitation, spoke up. But Professor, surely their unconventional methods can be countered with superior technology and numbers. Zixnereth's skin darkened, a sign of seriousness among his species. One would think so, but history has shown otherwise. Humans have an uncanny ability to turn their adversaries' strengths against them. They thrive as underdogs, often performing best when the odds are stacked against them. The holographic display now showed a montage of human victories against technologically superior forces, both from their own history and their more recent conflicts in space. This is why understanding humans is crucial, Zixnereth emphasized. In the short time since joining the galactic community, they have already reshaped the balance of power. Several established empires have fallen or been forced to reform after underestimating human capabilities. The students were now fully engaged, their initial skepticism replaced by a mixture of fascination and concern. They began to realize the importance of the course they were undertaking. In the coming weeks, Zixnereth continued, we will not only study human combat tactics but also engage in simulations and exercises designed to help you think like a human commander. It will be challenging, often counterintuitive, but essential for your future roles as leaders in our diverse galactic society. The professor's tentacles waved in a gesture of dismissal. For your first assignment, I want each of you to research a human conflict from their history. Choose one that you find particularly puzzling or irrational. Prepare to present your findings and attempt to explain the human reasoning behind the tactics used. As the students began to file out of the lecture hall, their minds were buzzing with questions and a newfound respect for the complexity of human combat psychology. They realized that this course would challenge not only their understanding of warfare, but also their preconceptions about intelligence and civilization itself. Zixnereth watched them leave, a sense of satisfaction washing over him. He knew that by the end of this course, these future galactic leaders would never underestimate humans again, and perhaps, just perhaps, they would learn to appreciate the beautiful chaos that humans brought to the cosmic stage. Little did the students know that their journey into the heart of human combat genius had only just begun, and the revelations that awaited them would shake the very foundations of their galactic worldview. 2 weeks into the Human Combat Tactics and Psychology 101 course, Professor Zixnereth's students found themselves in the Academy's most advanced simulation chamber. The air was thick with anticipation as the alien students prepared for their first practical exercise in human warfare. Today, Zixnereth announced, his skin pulsing with excitement, you will experience firsthand the unpredictability of human combat tactics. We've prepared a simulation based on actual first contact scenarios between humans and various galactic species. The chamber hummed to life, holographic projectors creating a stunningly realistic representation of a neutral space station. Each student found themselves in command of a small fleet, tasked with making first contact with a newly discovered spacefaring race, humans. Lyrax, a Xanthari student, confidently maneuvered her simulated ships into a standard diplomatic formation. This should be straightforward, she thought. Our technology is far superior. The humans will surely recognize our power and respond with appropriate deference. As the human ships appeared on their scanners, the students were surprised by their odd asymmetrical designs. Before anyone could initiate standard first contact protocols, the human fleet split into smaller groups, each adopting different formations. What are they doing? Muttered Grek, a Vexilian student, his tentacles twitching nervously. This violates all established contact procedures. Suddenly, a fraction of the human fleet accelerated towards the students' positions, while others hung back, powering up strange energy signatures that defied quick analysis. Lyrax, caught off guard, ordered her ships to maintain formation and broadcast peace messages on all frequencies. To her shock, the incoming human vessels began to emit a cacophony of contradictory transmissions, some threatening, others pleading for help, and still others offering alliances against imaginary foes. It's a trick, shouted Grek, ordering his fleet to battle stations. But as soon as he did, the aggressive human ships pulled back, and the ones that had been holding position launched what appeared to be unarmed pods towards the students' fleets. Professor Zixnerath watched with amusement as chaos unfolded in the simulation. Students argued with each other, their carefully laid plans crumbling in the face of human unpredictability. Skthul, a normally quiet Drazuri student, surprised everyone by taking an unorthodox approach. Instead of reacting to the humans' erratic behavior, he ordered his fleet to power down all but essential systems and await further developments. As the simulation progressed, it became clear that the humans were employing a mix of psychological warfare, deliberate misinformation, and calculated risk-taking. Some student fleets found themselves drawn into traps, while others missed crucial opportunities for peaceful communication. After an hour of bewildering interactions, Professor Zixnerath ended the simulation. The chamber fell silent as the holographic projections faded away, leaving the students looking dazed and somewhat shell-shocked. "Well," Zixnerath said, his skin now a deep shade of amusement, "would anyone like to share their thoughts on what just happened?" Lyrax, her crystalline form dimmed with embarrassment, spoke first. "Professor, with all due respect, this simulation must be flawed. No spacefaring race would behave so irrationally during first contact." Zixnerath's tentacles waved dismissively. "And yet, my dear students, what you've just experienced is a composite of actual human tactics used in various first contact scenarios. The seeming irrationality is precisely what makes it effective." Grek raised a tentacle. "But Professor, how can we hope to establish diplomatic relations or conduct warfare with a species that doesn't follow any predictable patterns?" "An excellent question," Zixnerath replied. "The key is to understand that humans often create their own patterns and rules of engagement. They value adaptability over rigid doctrine." The professor gestured, and a holographic replay of the simulation appeared, highlighting key moments. "Observe how the humans used contradictory messages to sow confusion. They exploited your expectations of a civilized first contact to gain tactical advantages." Skthul, the Draziri student who had chosen to wait and observe, spoke up. "I noticed that the humans seemed to react differently to each of our approaches. It's as if they were probing for weaknesses and opportunities simultaneously." Zixnerath's skin flashed with approval. "Precisely. Humans excel at reading their opponents and adjusting their strategies on the fly. In this simulation, they were not just assessing your military capabilities, but your psychological responses as well." The students murmured among themselves, a mix of frustration and fascination evident in their voices. "But how do we counter such unpredictability?" asked another student, a methane-breathing Korak named Vix. Zixnerath's expression turned serious. "That, students, is the multi-trillion credit question. The truth is, there's no single answer. Dealing with humans requires a level of mental flexibility that many of our species find challenging." The professor moved to the center of the room, commanding everyone's attention. "What you must understand is that human combat doctrine is not about following a set of predetermined rules. It's about creating chaos for their opponents while thriving in it themselves." He brought up historical images from human conflicts. Throughout their history, humans have often been outgunned, outnumbered, or faced with technologically superior foes. Yet time and again, they've emerged victorious through a combination of innovative tactics, psychological warfare, and sheer determination. The students watched in fascination as Zixnerath showed them examples of human victories against overwhelming odds, from ancient battles to modern space engagements. "Your assignment," Zixnerath announced, "is to review the data from today's simulation. I want you to identify 3 key moments where human unpredictability gave them an advantage, and propose strategies to counter these tactics. Remember, the goal is not to make humans predictable, but to enhance your own ability to adapt." As the students filed out of the simulation chamber, their earlier confidence had been replaced by a mixture of humility and intense curiosity. They had come face to face with the chaos of human combat tactics, and the experience had left them both unsettled and intrigued. Zixnerath watched them leave, satisfied with the day's lesson. "They're beginning to understand," he mused to himself. Humans don't just think outside the box. They set the box on fire and dance around it. And if we're to coexist peacefully or survive a conflict, we must learn to dance with them. Cultural shock and combat insights. The anticipation among Professor Zixnereth's students was palpable as they boarded the interstellar cruiser. After weeks of studying human combat tactics and psychology, they were finally going to experience the source firsthand, a field trip to Earth. Remember, Zixnereth cautioned as the ship prepared for its jump to hyperspace, what you're about to witness may challenge everything you think you know about civilization and warfare. Keep an open mind, and more importantly, keep your environmental suits on at all times. The journey to Earth was spent in intense discussion and last-minute reviews of human customs. Despite their preparation, nothing could have truly prepared the alien students for their first glimpse of the blue planet. As they entered Earth's atmosphere, the sheer diversity of the planet's ecosystems left many students in awe. How can a species evolve to dominate such varied environments? Wondered Lyrax, the Xanthari student, her crystalline form shimmering with excitement. Their first stop was a military history museum in a place called Washington, D.C. The students marveled at the primitive weaponry on display, struggling to understand how such basic tools could have led to the formidable spacefaring race they now knew. Note the progression, Professor Zixnereth pointed out, his tentacles gesturing at a timeline of human weapons development. Humans have an uncanny ability to rapidly innovate their tools of war. What you see as primitive was once the pinnacle of their technology, and each advancement came faster than the last. Grek, the Vexillian student, raised a tentacle. But Professor, many of these weapons seem designed to cause unnecessary suffering. How does this align with their claims of being a civilized species? Zixnereth's skin darkened thoughtfully. An astute observation. Grek, humans have a complex relationship with warfare. They're capable of great cruelty, but also of remarkable compassion. This duality is key to understanding their combat psychology. The next stop on their tour was a live-fire exercise at a military base. The students watched in fascination as human soldiers ran through a combat simulation. The speed, aggression, and coordination on display were unlike anything they had seen before. Observe their unit cohesion, Zixnereth commented. Humans have a unique ability to form strong bonds with non-kin. In combat, they often fight not just for themselves, but for their comrades. Skathol, the Draziri student who had shown insight during the first contact simulation, spoke up. It's as if they become a single organism in battle. Is this why they're so effective against numerically superior forces? Partly, Zixnereth agreed. But watch closely. You'll see that while they operate as a unit, each soldier also shows individual initiative. This combination of unity and adaptability makes human forces exceptionally resilient. As the demonstration concluded, the students were given a rare opportunity to speak with some of the human soldiers. Many were surprised by the humans' friendliness and humor, struggling to reconcile these traits with the fierce warriors they had just observed. One human sergeant, noticing the students' confusion, grinned and said, "Yeah, we get that a lot. Thing is, we fight hard so we can live in peace, and we laugh because, well, sometimes that's all you can do in the face of chaos." This statement sparked a flurry of questions from the students, eager to understand the seeming contradictions in human nature. Their final stop was a virtual reality center where they could experience simulations of famous human battles throughout history. The students found themselves thrust into chaotic scenarios, from ancient naval engagements to futuristic space battles. Your challenge, Zixnereth announced, is to complete these simulations using human tactics. Forget what you know about conventional warfare. Think unpredictably. What followed was a humbling experience for many. Lyrax, usually confident in her strategic abilities, found herself outmaneuvered repeatedly in a simulation of a human conflict called World War II. "It's maddening," she exclaimed, her crystalline form flickering with frustration. "Every time I think I've predicted their move, they do something completely unexpected." Grek, on the other hand, surprised himself by successfully repelling an alien invasion in a futuristic scenario. I think I'm starting to understand, he said, his tentacles quivering with excitement. It's not about following a perfect plan. It's about creating chaos for your enemy while thriving in it yourself. Zixnareth beamed with pride. Exactly. Humans have a saying, no plan survives contact with the enemy. They excel at improvisation and turning disadvantages into advantages. As their time on Earth came to an end, the students gathered for a final debrief. The atmosphere was charged with a mix of excitement, confusion, and newfound respect for human capabilities. What have we learned? Zixnareth asked, looking around at his students. Skthal spoke first. Humans are paradoxical. They create beautiful art and music, yet they're capable of terrible destruction. They value individual freedom, yet they can work together with incredible synchronicity. Their strength seems to come from their contradictions. Lyrax nodded in agreement, and their adaptability is unparalleled. They don't just survive in chaos, they'd weaponize it against their enemies. But how do we apply this knowledge practically? Grek asked. How can we predict an unpredictable species? Zixnareth's skin pulsed with approval. That, my students, is the key insight. The goal isn't to predict human behavior, but to enhance our own adaptability. We must learn to think more flexibly, to see opportunities where others see only chaos. As they boarded their ship for the return journey, the students chattered excitedly about their experiences. They had come to Earth seeking to understand human combat tactics. They left with a profound appreciation for the complexity of human nature and a new perspective on adaptability in warfare. Zixnareth watched his students with satisfaction. They had taken their first real steps towards understanding one of the most unpredictable and formidable species in the galaxy. The professor knew that these future leaders would approach human-galactic relations with the respect and caution it deserved. As the Earth receded from view, Zixnareth allowed himself a moment of reflection. Humans were indeed chaotic, unpredictable, and often dangerous, but they were also innovative, resilient, and capable of greatness. The galaxy's future would be shaped by how well other species could learn to navigate the beautiful chaos the humans brought to the cosmic stage. Upon returning to the Galactic Academy, Professor Zixnareth's class found themselves at the center of a controversy. News of their field trip to Earth had spread, and many in the academic community were outraged at what they saw as the glorification of a primitive and violent species. In response, the Academy's board of directors organized a formal debate. The motion: humans are too unpredictable and dangerous to be fully integrated into galactic society. Professor Zixnareth's students would argue against the motion, facing off against a team of esteemed xenopsychologists and military strategists from across the galaxy. As the debate hall filled with spectators from various species, tension hung in the air. The students, still processing their experiences on Earth, felt the weight of responsibility on their shoulders. The debate began with opening statements from both sides. The opposition, led by Dr. Quelthax, a renowned Arcturian xenopsychologist, spoke first. Esteemed colleagues, Dr. Quelthax's melodious voice resonated through the hall. We stand at a crossroads. The integration of humans into our galactic society presents unprecedented risks. Their history is marred by constant warfare, their technology advancing faster than their wisdom. How can we trust a species that thrives on conflict to maintain the delicate peace we've established? Murmurs of agreement rippled through parts of the audience. The students exchanged nervous glances, feeling the challenge ahead. Lyrax stepped forward to present their opening argument. Her crystalline form glittered under the lights as she spoke, her voice steady despite her nervousness. Respected members of the galactic community, she began, we understand your concerns. Yes, humans have a complex and often violent history, but it's precisely this background that makes them valuable allies and innovators in our shared future. She paused, allowing her words to sink in. During our time on Earth, we witnessed firsthand the duality of human nature. Their capacity for violence is matched only by their capacity for compassion, their chaos balanced by creativity. It's not human unpredictability we should fear, but our own inflexibility in the face of a changing galaxy. The debate raged on, with both sides presenting compelling arguments. The opposition pointed to human conflicts, their rapid weapons development, and their seeming disregard for established galactic protocols. Grech countered with examples of human peacekeeping efforts, their diplomatic initiatives, and their contributions to galactic science and culture since first contact. Consider, Grech argued, his tentacles gesticulating passionately, how humans have already changed our understanding of combat tactics and crisis management. Their out-of-the-box thinking has led to breakthroughs in fields ranging from medicine to faster-than-light travel. Dr. Quellafax interjected, but at what cost? Human unpredictability makes them a wild card in delicate galactic politics. How can we trust them to act in the best interests of the galactic community when they can barely maintain peace on their own world? It was Sthal who offered a rebuttal that shifted the debate's tone. With respect, Dr. Quellafax, I believe we're asking the wrong question. It's not about whether we can trust humans to fit into our existing systems. It's about whether we can adapt alongside them to create a more robust, dynamic galactic society. The Draziri student's words caused a stir in the audience. Skull continued, "Our simulations and our experiences on Earth taught us that human unpredictability is not just a military tactic, it's a fundamental approach to problem solving. In a galaxy full of unknown threats and challenges,